I stood frozen in the doorway of my $2.3 million beach house, my fingers gripping the handle of my briefcase so tightly, my knuckles turned white, where my modern minimalist living room should have been, with its carefully selected Italian furniture and ocean view floor-to-ceiling windows, was now a riot of primary colors, child-sized furniture and safety-padded everything. Surprise! My sister Amanda's voice pierced through my shock. She bounded over, her designer handbag swinging wildly as she gestured at the transformation. "Isn't it amazing? We've been working on it all week." My mother stepped out from what used to be my home office, now apparently converted into some sort of infant napping room. "Marcus, honey, we knew you'd be too busy to do anything with this space anyway. You're always traveling for work." I took a deep breath, forcing myself to maintain the calm composure that had helped me build my tech consulting empire. "Who gave you access to my house?" "Oh, don't be silly," Mom waved dismissively. "We used the spare key from when you first bought the place. Remember? For emergencies?" "And this was an emergency?" My voice remained eerily steady. Amanda jumped in, her excitement bubbling over. "Actually, yes. You see, I lost my lease on the daycare space downtown. The owner sold the building. But then Mom remembered you had this perfect beachfront property just sitting here empty most of the time. It's absolutely perfect for the children." I slowly walked through what used to be my sanctuary. The imported marble floors were now covered with foam play mats. Custom bookshelves that once housed first editions were stuffed with picture books and plastic toys. In the kitchen, my professional-grade appliances were pushed aside to make room for multiple mini fridges labeled with children's names. "How many children are we talking about?" I asked, already knowing I wouldn't like the answer. "We're licensed for 30, Amanda beamed. "And we're already fully booked. The parents love the idea of a beachfront daycare. We're charging premium rates. $2,500 per child per month. It's going to be so successful." My mother chimed in. "We've already collected the first month's deposits." The parents are thrilled, and Amanda really needs this break after her divorce. You know how hard it's been for her since David left. I walked to what used to be my primary bedroom suite. The king-sized bed was gone, replaced by 10 small cots arranged in neat rows. My walk-in closet had been converted into a changing station area. The ensuite bathroom now featured child-sized fixtures and colorful step stools. "And where exactly did you put my furniture?" I asked, maintaining my calculated calm. "Oh, we had it all moved to storage," Mom said cheerfully. "Don't worry, we used that moving company you recommended last year. They were very careful with everything." I pulled out my phone and opened my security app. As expected, there were dozens of alerts from the past week that I'd been too busy to check while closing my latest acquisition. The footage showed my mother, sister, and a team of contractors systematically dismantling my carefully curated home. "Amanda," I said quietly, "how many parents have paid deposits?" 30 families, she clapped excitedly. They all paid $2,500 each, plus a $1,000 registration fee. We've already collected $105,000. Isn't that amazing? And it's all thanks to you, big brother. I walked to the windows, looking out at the pristine beach view that had sold me on this property 2 years ago. "And when does this daycare officially open?" "Monday," Mom and Amanda chorused together. "We're having an open house tomorrow for all the families to tour the facility," Amanda added. "We've even hired 5 teachers already. They start training tomorrow too." I turned back to face them, my expression neutral. "And did either of you think to check the zoning laws for this area?" Their smiles faltered slightly. "What do you mean?" Mom asked. I opened my laptop and pulled up the municipal code for our beachfront community. This property is zoned strictly residential. Commercial operations, including daycare facilities, are explicitly prohibited without specific variance permits. I paused, letting that sink in. Permits that take 6-8 months to process, if they're approved at all. Amanda's face paled. But we can apply for those, right?" "We could," I nodded. "Except there's also the matter of the HOA regulations, which specifically prohibit any commercial operations that increase traffic flow or noise levels in the community. The HOA board loves children." Mom protested. "They'll make an exception," I continued as if she hadn't spoken. "Then there's the matter of insurance. My homeowner's policy doesn't cover commercial childcare operations. Operating without proper insurance would be illegal, not to mention incredibly risky. Amanda's lower lip started to tremble. But the parents, the deposits, and let's not forget the contracts you've signed with employees. I added, teachers you've hired for positions that legally can't exist here. I assume you signed those contracts under your business name. Mom stepped forward, her voice taking on the stern tone she'd used when I was young. Marcus James Walker, your sister needs this. After everything she's been through with David, how can you be so heartless? This is her chance to rebuild her life. I held up my hand, silencing her. Speaking of rebuilding lives, let's discuss the unauthorized access and renovation of my property. The spare key was for emergencies, not for converting my home into a commercial enterprise without my knowledge or consent. But you're never here, Amanda protested. You're always traveling for work. This house just sits empty. It's my house, I said simply. Purchased with my money, maintained with my money, and designed exactly the way I want it. The fact that I'm not here constantly doesn't give anyone the right to take it over. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water, carefully stepping around the child safety gates they'd installed. You have exactly 48 hours to remove everything you've brought in and return my furniture from storage. You'll need to refund all the deposits and registration fees to those parents. You'll also need to pay severance to the teachers you hired, since you'll be breaking their contracts. But that's over $105,000. Amanda wailed. I don't have that kind of money. I used the deposits to pay for all the renovations and supplies. I took a slow sip of water. You should have thought of that before spending money you didn't have to renovate a property you don't own. Mom's face hardened. Marcus, you can't do this to your sister. We're family, and families help each other. Interesting perspective. I nodded. Was it helping me when you used an emergency key to fundamentally alter my property without my knowledge? Was it helping me when you moved all my belongings into storage without my permission? Was it helping me when you planned to run an illegal business out of my home that could have resulted in massive fines and legal issues for me as the property owner? Amanda burst into tears. What am I supposed to tell all those parents? They're counting on this daycare. Some of them have already given notice at their current facilities. I set down my glass and picked up my briefcase. I suggest you start making those calls immediately. The longer you wait, the harder it will be for them to find alternative arrangements. Where are you going? Mom demanded as I headed for the door. To my hotel, I replied calmly. I'll return in 48 hours. If my house isn't restored to its original condition by then, I'll be contacting my attorney about the unauthorized access and conversion of my property, as well as reporting the attempted operation of an illegal daycare facility to the relevant authorities. You'd sue your own sister. Mom gasped. I paused at the door. You seem to have forgotten something important during this whole scheme. I'm not just Amanda's brother who happens to have a nice beach house. I'm the CEO of Walker Technologies, a company valued at $4.7 billion. Everything I do is carefully planned and legally vetted to protect my interests and those of my shareholders. What does that have to do with anything? Amanda sniffled. It means, I continued, that I can't afford to have my name or property associated with illegal business operations, no matter who's running them. It means I have a team of attorneys on retainer who specialize in exactly these types of situations, and it means that my reputation for handling business matters strictly by the book is worth far more than $105,000. I opened the door, then turned back one last time. One more thing. I'll need all copies of my house keys returned before you leave. The locks will be changed tomorrow morning, and a new security system will be installed. Any future emergencies can be handled through my executive assistant. As I walked to my car, I could hear Amanda's sobs and Mom's angry voice through the open windows. I felt a twinge of guilt, but quickly suppressed it. This wasn't actually about the house. It was about respect, boundaries, and consequences. My phone buzzed with an incoming call from my assistant, Jessica. Sir, I've received your message. I've already contacted the moving company to schedule the furniture return, and I've reached out to your security team about the lock changes and system upgrade. Would you like me to have legal draw up a formal notice about the unauthorized property use? Yes, I replied, sliding into my car. Also, please contact the real estate agent who handled my purchase. I'd like to know if any suitable commercial properties have become available in the downtown area recently. Sir, Jessica's confusion was evident in her voice. My sister needs a proper location for her daycare business, I explained. Once she's learned her lesson about unauthorized use of other people's property, I might be interested in helping her establish her business the right way. But she doesn't need to know that yet. Understood, sir. I'll have the information ready for your review tomorrow morning. Will you be staying at the usual hotel? Yes, and Jessica, please order some dinner sent to my beach house this evening. I suspect my mother and sister will be too busy making phone calls to think about eating. Of course, sir. Anything else? I started the car, watching through the windows as Amanda and Mom frantically began making calls. Yes, please schedule a meeting with our charitable giving committee for next week. I think it's time we considered establishing a fund for early childhood education initiatives in underserved communities. My sister might have been wrong about the method, but she's not wrong about the need for quality childcare options in this area. Very good, sir. I'll take care of everything. I ended the call and pulled away from the house, already mentally composing the business plan I would eventually present to Amanda once she understood that success comes from careful planning and respect for proper procedures, not from taking shortcuts with other people's property. In my rearview mirror, I could see Mom storming out to her car, no doubt heading home to call my father and complain about my unreasonable behavior. That was fine. Dad, a retired corporate lawyer, would understand exactly why I had to handle things this way. He'd probably even be proud of how calmly I'd managed the situation. My phone buzzed again. I text from Amanda. I'm sorry, you're right, we should have asked first. I smiled slightly. Maybe she'd learned faster than I'd expected. I typed back, we'll talk in 48 hours. Focus on making things right with the parents first. Setting my phone aside, I headed toward my hotel. I had some calls of my own to make, to real estate agents, contractors, and licensing authorities. If Amanda showed she could handle this situation responsibly, her dream of a beachfront daycare might still come true, just not in my house. 2 days later, I pulled up to my beach house exactly at the agreed-upon time. The transformation was remarkable, not because of any changes, but because everything had been restored to its original state. My furniture was back in place, the child safety equipment was gone, and there wasn't a toy in sight. Amanda sat alone on the front steps, her usual designer outfit replaced by jeans and a simple sweater. Her eyes were red, but her posture was straight. She held out a small envelope as I approached. All the keys, she said quietly, and a list of everything we did to the house, in case there's any damage we missed fixing. I sat down beside her, taking the envelope. How did the calls go? She winced. It was awful. Most of the parents were furious. A few threatened to sue. I spent all day yesterday meeting with them personally, to return their money and apologize. She pulled out her phone, showing me her banking app. I had to cash out my investment account and max out my credit cards, but everyone's been refunded in full. And the teachers, that was actually easier. They were disappointed, but when I explained the situation, they understood. I paid them each 2 weeks severance, like you said to. She managed a weak smile. One of them is a law student. She said I was lucky you didn't press charges for conversion of property. I nodded, noting how she'd used the correct legal term. You've been doing some research. I spent all night reading about property law and business regulations after you left. She twisted her hands in her lap. Did you know there are 14 separate permits required to operate a commercial daycare in this county? I didn't even have one of them. And the renovation supplies. Mom helped me rent a storage unit. Everything's there until, she trailed off, then squared her shoulders. Until I figure out what to do next. Maybe sell it all to cover some of my credit card debt. I pulled out my laptop. Before you do that, I'd like you to look at something. Opening a document, I turned the screen toward her. She leaned in, then gasped. Is this the old Sanderson building downtown? Currently available for lease, I confirmed. Zoned commercial, previously used as a private preschool before they expanded to a larger location. Already has most of the required safety features and separate play areas. The owner is willing to discuss substantial renovations as part of the lease agreement. Amanda's hands trembled as she scrolled through the photos. It's perfect, better than your house actually. It has a dedicated pickup drop-off area. And that courtyard could be. She stopped suddenly, her face falling. But I can't afford anything like this now. I've drained all my accounts, fixing my mistake. True, I agreed, which is why I've scheduled a meeting tomorrow morning with my financial advisory team. If you're interested, they can help you develop a proper business plan, complete with realistic projections and funding requirements. She stared at me. You'd help me. After what I did, you made a serious mistake, I said frankly, but instead of making excuses or trying to fight me on it, you took responsibility. You fixed things as best you could, even at significant personal cost. That shows me you have the right character for business ownership. You just need to learn to do things the right way. Tears welled in her eyes. I don't deserve your help. This isn't charity, I corrected her. If we move forward, it will be a proper business arrangement. You'll need to complete a small business management course. You'll have to work with lawyers on proper contracts and insurance. Every permit will be obtained legally. Every regulation followed exactly. And you'll repay any investment with interest, just like any other business loan. She wiped her eyes, straightening up again. I can do that. I will do that. But what about Mom? She's still furious with you. I couldn't help but laugh. Mom's been furious with my business decisions since I turned down that perfectly good job at Uncle Steve's insurance agency to start my tech company. She'll get over it. She said Dad agrees with her, Amanda ventured. Really? I pulled out my phone, showing her a text from our father, proud of how you handled that situation, son. Firm but fair, legally sound, and leaving the door open for proper resolution. Call me if you need any advice on structuring the business loan. Amanda laughed for the first time in days. She's going to be so mad when she finds out Dad's on your side. Dad understands business. I shrugged. He also understands that real success comes from doing things the right way, not taking shortcuts. Standing up, I offered her my hand. Want to see inside? I had my interior designer fix a few things while the furniture was being returned. She took my hand, letting me help her up. I did love what you'd done with the place. Before you turned it into Rainbow Bright's playground. I teased, opening the door. Inside, everything was indeed back to normal, with a few subtle improvements. The view of the ocean seemed even more spectacular now that the windows were clear of finger paintings. About that, Amanda said hesitantly. I've been thinking, even if we get the Sanderson building, would you consider letting me use your beach house for special occasions, properly permitted one-day events, with full insurance and everything legal? The parents really did love the idea of occasional beach days for the kids. I pretended to consider it. Maybe, if you present it as part of your official business plan tomorrow, with proper risk assessment, safety protocols, and exact numbers. She pulled out her phone, already making notes. I can work on that tonight. I still have all the parents' information. Maybe quarterly events. Maximum 20 kids per session. 3 certified lifeguards. Designated play areas. Watching her shift into serious business planning mode, I smiled. This was the sister I knew was in there. Focused, professional, and capable of great things when she did them the right way. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. We need to talk about your sister. I typed back, yes we do. Come to my office tomorrow at 10 a.m. Amanda will be presenting her business plan to my advisory team. You should hear it. 3 dots appeared as she typed, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, does she know you're helping her? Yes. Do you know Dad's helping too? A longer pause. Then save me a seat at the meeting. And I'm sorry about the house. I showed the exchange to Amanda, who was still making detailed notes about safety protocols for beach events. She looked up, smiling. Think she'll actually admit she was wrong. Let's not push our luck, I laughed. But speaking of admitting things, why didn't you just come to me with your business idea in the first place? She blushed. Honestly, I was embarrassed. You're this hugely successful CEO, and I'm just me. Mom always compares us, talks about how you're the business genius. I wanted to prove I could do something on my own. By stealing my house. Okay, not my brightest moment, she admitted, but I really do love working with kids. And I'm good at it. I just needed to prove. You don't have to prove anything, I interrupted. Except that you can run a legitimate professional business, which is exactly what we're going to help you do. She nodded, then looked at me curiously. Why are you really helping me? You could have just kicked me out and been done with it. I walked to the windows, watching the waves roll in. Remember when I was starting Walker Technologies? Everyone except Dad thought I was crazy to leave a secure job. You were the only one who used to bring me dinner at the office, tell me I could do it. You worked so hard, she remembered. Every night, every weekend. And now it's my turn to help you work hard, I said. The right way this time. She joined me at the window. The right way, she agreed. No more shortcuts. My phone buzzed again. Jessica confirming tomorrow's meeting details. Looking at the schedule, I smiled. You might want to go home and change. Your first business meeting is in 14 hours. Amanda checked her own phone, eyes widening. I should update my presentation, and maybe look more professional than this. She gestured at her casual outfit. Now you're thinking like a CEO, I approved. Need a ride home? She shook her head. Mom's letting me borrow her car until I can afford to fix mine. But, thanks for everything. After she left, I walked through my restored house, making sure everything was truly back to normal. In what had briefly been the daycare's main play area, I found a single small toy car under the sofa. Instead of throwing it away, I placed it on my desk, a reminder that sometimes the biggest business lessons come from unexpected places, even unauthorized daycare centers and beach houses. The conference room at Walker Technologies headquarters buzzed with quiet energy. My financial advisory team sat on one side of the long table, reviewing documents and whispering among themselves. Amanda, dressed in a crisp navy business suit, was setting up her laptop for the presentation. Mom sat stiffly in a corner chair, trying to maintain her disapproving expression but failing to hide her curiosity. Dad walked in exactly 5 minutes early, as he always did for important meetings. He gave me a knowing smile, squeezed Amanda's shoulder supportively, and took a seat next to Mom. I noticed he'd brought his legal notepad. He might be retired, but old habits die hard. Before we begin, I addressed the room. I want to make something clear. We're here to evaluate a business proposal on its merits alone. Personal relationships are irrelevant to this discussion. Miss Walker will be treated like any other entrepreneur seeking investment funding. Amanda straightened her spine at the formal address, nodding professionally. Mom opened her mouth to object, but Dad placed a quiet hand on her arm. Miss Walker, I continued, you have 30 minutes to present your business plan. Then the advisory team will have 20 minutes for questions. Please begin. Amanda clicked to her first slide, and I felt a surge of pride. Gone were the cute clip art and rainbow colors I'd half expected. Instead, her presentation was sleek and professional, backed by solid market research and financial projections. Good morning, she began, her voice steady. I'm here to propose the establishment of Coastal Kids Learning Center, a premium early childhood education facility serving our community's growing need for high-quality daycare services. For the next 30 minutes, she laid out a comprehensive business plan. She'd done her homework, presenting demographic studies, competitor analyses, and detailed financial models. The projected startup costs were realistic, including everything from building renovations to licensing fees. She'd even included contingency funds for unexpected expenses. In conclusion, she finished, Coastal Kids represents an opportunity to fill a crucial market gap while providing superior returns on investment. Our projected break-even point is at 18 months, with positive cash flow expected by month 24. I'm requesting a business loan of $475,000 to be repaid over 7 years at market-competitive interest rates. I glanced at my advisory team, noting their impressed expressions. Even Mom had dropped her skeptical look, replaced by something that looked suspiciously like pride. The questions began immediately. Your staffing costs seem high, noted Sarah, our chief financial analyst. Can you explain? Amanda nodded confidently. We're positioning ourselves as a premium service provider. That means attracting and retaining the best teachers through above-market salaries and comprehensive benefits. This investment in human capital will result in lower turnover and higher parent satisfaction, justifying our premium pricing structure. Speaking of pricing, James from Risk Assessment leaned forward. Your rates are 15% above market average. What's your justification? Our market research shows that local parents, particularly in the tech and medical sectors, are willing to pay premium rates for three key factors: highly qualified staff, low student-teacher ratios, and enrichment programs. We're offering all three, plus the unique benefit of quarterly supervised beach events at a private waterfront location. She glanced at me briefly. Subject to proper permits and insurance, of course. The questions continued. Each one met with well-researched, thoughtful responses. Amanda had clearly spent every minute since our beach house conversation preparing for this moment. Finally, Dad raised his hand. I have a legal question, if I may. At my nod, he continued. Your insurance and liability coverage plans are comprehensive, but have you considered creating a separate LLC for the special events division? It would provide additional protection for the main business. Amanda smiled. Actually, yes. It's detailed in Appendix C of the business plan. I've already consulted with a business attorney about the optimal corporate structure. Dad beamed, making a note on his legal pad. As the formal questioning ended, I stood up. Thank you, Miss Walker. The advisory team will review your proposal and provide their recommendations within 48 hours. However, I have one final question. Amanda met my gaze steadily. Yes, Mr. Walker. Your presentation didn't mention the events of this past week. Don't you think potential investors should know about your recent learning experience? The room went silent. Mom tensed in her chair, but Amanda didn't flinch. You're absolutely right, she said clearly. I made a serious error in judgment that could have resulted in legal and financial consequences. Instead of proper business planning, I tried to take shortcuts. That mistake cost me my savings and taught me valuable lessons about the importance of doing things correctly from the start. I've included a personal statement about this in Appendix D, along with the steps I've taken to make things right and the systems I'll put in place to ensure full regulatory compliance moving forward. I nodded, satisfied. Thank you for your honesty. We'll be in touch. As the advisory team filed out, Mom finally spoke up. Well, I think that went very. Not yet, I interrupted. Amanda, would you wait in my office? I need to speak with our parents first. Once Amanda left, I turned to Mom and Dad. Your thoughts? Dad spoke first. Legally sound plan. Good risk management. She's done her homework. He paused. The question is, can you separate business from family if things go wrong? That's why everything will be properly documented and legally binding, I replied. No verbal agreements, no handshake deals, no family favors. Mom stood up, smoothing her dress. I was wrong, she said quietly. About the beach house. About pushing her to do things the wrong way. I thought, she sighed. I thought we were helping her, but we were actually holding her back. This version of Amanda, the one who just gave that presentation, this is who she could have been all along if we'd pushed her to do things properly instead of looking for shortcuts. Dad took her hand. It's not too late. Look how well she handled this setback. I gathered my notes. So you both get support moving forward with the loan? Yes, they said in unison. Good, because I've already instructed the team to approve it, pending today's presentation. I smiled at their surprised looks. I knew she'd do well, she just needed the right motivation. In my office, Amanda was pacing nervously. She froze when we entered. Well? She asked. I maintained my professional demeanor. The advisory team will review everything, but I can tell you unofficially that your presentation was excellent. Assuming all the documentation checks out, you should expect approval within 48 hours. She started to smile, then caught herself. And the interest rate, market competitive, as requested. No family discounts. Good, she said firmly. I want to do this right. Mom stepped forward. Amanda, I need to say something. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry I was wrong about the beach house and about pushing you to take shortcuts. Watching you today, this is the daughter I always knew you could be. Amanda's professional composure cracked slightly. Really? Really, Dad confirmed. Although I do have some suggestions about that LLC structure. Dad, I warned, let her lawyer handle that. He held up his hands in surrender, but I caught him slipping a folded paper into Amanda's bag when he thought I wasn't looking. Probably his notes on corporate structure options. Now, I said, I believe we all have work to do. Amanda, you'll need to start the permit applications immediately if you want to meet your projected timeline. Mom, Dad, thank you for your input. As our parents left, Amanda turned to me. Thank you, not just for the loan opportunity, but for forcing me to do this right. I sat down at my desk, picking up the toy car I'd brought from the beach house. Keep this, I said, tossing it to her. A reminder of where this all started. She caught it laughing. My first business asset. Your first business lesson. I corrected. Now go start your paperwork. You've got a lot of permits to file. After she left, I called Jessica. Schedule a meeting with the real estate agent for the Sanderson building. I want a full inspection done before we proceed with any renovations. Already done, sir. The inspector will be there tomorrow morning. Also, your father left his suggestions for the LLC structure. Should I forward them to Amanda's lawyer? I smiled. Some things never change. Yes, and Jessica, start a file for Coastal Kids Learning Center. Something tells me my sister's going to make this work. Of course, sir. And the beach house. Should I cancel the security system upgrade? I thought about Amanda's professional presentation, her honest acknowledgement of her mistakes, and her determination to do things right. No, I decided. Keep it, but add her to the authorized access list. Something tells me those quarterly beach events are going to be quite successful. Looking out my office window at the city skyline, I smiled. Sometimes the best business success stories start with a failure, and sometimes the best way to help family is to treat them like professionals. The toy car would sit on Amanda's desk at Coastal Kids Learning Center for years to come, a small reminder of a big lesson. Success isn't about taking shortcuts, it's about taking the right path, even when it's the longer one. 6 months later, I stood in front of the renovated Sanderson building, now transformed into Coastal Kids Learning Center. The fresh paint gleamed in the morning sun, the new sign professional yet welcoming. Through the front windows, I could see the state-of-the-art security system and check-in stations, all properly permitted and certified. Amanda emerged from the front door, looking every bit the professional CEO in her tailored suit. The dark circles under her eyes betrayed the long hours she'd put in, but her smile was genuine. Ready for the inspection? I asked. She held up a thick binder. Every permit, every certification, every insurance document, all in order. Even Dad checked them twice. The city inspector arrived precisely on schedule, clipboard in hand. For the next 2 hours, we watched him methodically check every detail. Fire safety systems, emergency exits, child-proof locks, staff certifications, kitchen facilities, outdoor play equipment, everything. Finally, he closed his clipboard. Congratulations, Miss Walker. This is one of the most thoroughly prepared facilities I've inspected. You're approved to begin operations on Monday. After he left, Amanda let out a breath she'd been holding for 6 months. It's really happening. You earned it, I reminded her. Every permit, every inspection, every detail. You did it right. She laughed. Remember when Mom brought me soup last week? She saw all the permit applications on my desk and actually said, maybe you should have done it this way the first time. Speaking of the first time, I pulled out an envelope. Here's the updated agreement for the beach house events. She opened it eagerly. The quarterly beach days had become a key selling point for Coastal Kids, helping justify their premium rates. Everything's in order for the first event next month. All permits secured, insurance in place, 3 certified lifeguards contracted, and safety equipment installed. Dad's LLC structure is working perfectly. A car pulled up, Mom and Dad arriving for the pre-opening family tour. Mom immediately began fussing with Amanda's suit jacket while Dad pulled out his ever-present legal pad. Just doing a final liability check, he announced. Dad, Amanda and I said simultaneously, everything's handled. He grinned. Can't blame a retired lawyer for trying. The tour showed just how far Amanda had come. Each room was thoughtfully designed, combining safety with education and fun. The kitchen gleamed with commercial-grade equipment. The security system rivaled that of most banks. "And here's my office," Amanda said proudly, leading us in. I smiled, spotting the toy car displayed prominently on her desk. Beside it sat her framed business license and a photo from the day her loan was approved. "Your first quarter payment was received on time," I noted professionally. "Every payment will be," she assured me. Speaking of payments, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a check, repayment for all the parents' deposits she'd had to refund from the beach house incident. "Amanda," I started to protest. "No," she said firmly. "I'm doing this right. All debts paid, all obligations met. Besides," she smiled, "we're already showing a profit." Mom dabbed at her eyes. "I was so wrong about all this. Both of you, you knew the right way all along." "Well," Amanda admitted, "I needed a pretty strong lesson to figure it out. But that's business. You learn from your mistakes and do better." A knock at the door interrupted us. Jessica entered, tablet in hand. "Sorry to interrupt, but the parents are starting to arrive for the orientation tour." Amanda straightened her jacket. Time to be a real CEO. We watched from the back as she conducted the tour. Her presentation was flawless. Every parent's question answered with confidence and expertise. The rooms that had once been hastily converted spaces in my beach house were now properly designed learning environments. When she reached the topic of the beach day events, she caught my eye. "Through a special arrangement with a local property owner, we offer quarterly supervised beach experiences. All activities are fully insured, properly staffed, and safety certified." One parent raised her hand. "Aren't you Marcus Walker's sister? Is it his beach house?" Amanda didn't miss a beat. "All our business arrangements, including our special events venues, are handled through proper corporate channels. But yes, we're fortunate to have access to an excellent beachfront facility." I nodded approvingly. Professional, transparent, but maintaining proper business boundaries. After the tour, as parents eagerly signed enrollment contracts, Mom pulled me aside. "You knew she could do this all along, didn't you? Even when I pushed her toward shortcuts, I knew she had potential," I corrected. "She just needed to believe in doing things the right way." Dad joined us, his legal pad finally put away. "The difference between that beach house scheme and this, she owns this success, really owns it." Amanda approached, glowing with achievement. 28 enrollments confirmed, all at full tuition. "We'll be at capacity by next month." "And the waiting list?" I asked. 15 families already. "I'm actually considering expansion options for next year." She caught herself. "Through proper channels, of course. No shortcuts." I smiled. "I might know some potential investors when you're ready." "First," she said firmly, "I'm going to prove this model works. Build a solid track record. Then we'll talk expansion." Mom looked ready to burst with pride. When did my children get so business-minded? Dad supplied. I was going to say grown up. Later that evening, after our parents left and the last contracts were signed, Amanda and I stood outside the building. "Want to drive by the beach house?" I offered. "See where it all started?" She shook her head. "No need, I learned my lesson there. This is where I belong now, in a business I built properly." "About those expansion plans," I said casually. "The building next door might be available soon." She laughed. "Let me guess, you already have market research." "Maybe, but this time you'll do your own due diligence." "Wouldn't have it any other way." She locked up setting the security system. "You know what's funny? If I had succeeded with the beach house plan, I would have failed. I needed to fail there to succeed here." I nodded. "Sometimes the best business lessons come from our biggest mistakes." "Speaking of business lessons," she grinned, "wait until you see what I have planned for the first beach day. All properly permitted, of course." "Of course," I agreed. Wouldn't expect anything less from the CEO of Coastal Kids Learning Center. As we walked to our cars, the setting sun caught the new sign, making it glow. From unauthorized daycare in a stolen beach house to legitimate successful business owner, Amanda had come full circle. And that toy car on her desk would always remind her, sometimes the longest path is the right one.